It was an evening in New York. Light rain was falling, spreading a strange sense of peace in the air. The wet streets glowed under the city lights. In such weather, people either stayed inside their homes or enjoyed coffee at a cafe. But there was one man walking alone on those streets, Daniel Carter. Daniel had come from London to New York. His dreams were big, and his courage even bigger. He was studying business management here. Living and studying in a city like New York was not easy, but Daniel trusted his determination. He managed life by studying on one side and doing a part-time job on the other. But something was missing in his life, a strange loneliness. The kind of loneliness that makes a person feel alone even in the middle of a crowd of millions. In the same university, there was a girl, Emily Johnson. Blue eyes, golden hair, and a smile that carried an unexplainable charm. Daniel had seen her many times, but never had the courage to talk. He only watched her from a corner in the class, and every time, an unknown feeling stirred inside him. One day, after class, Emily walked straight up to Daniel and said, "Hey, do you have today's lecture notes? I missed a few points." Daniel looked at her in surprise, then smiled and replied, "Yeah, of course. Here, take mine." While taking the notes, Emily said, "You're from London, right? I can tell from your accent." Daniel chuckled softly. "Yeah, guilty as charged." For the first time, Emily opened up and talked to him. And in that moment, Daniel felt as if, in the middle of New York's crowd, he had finally found a sense of belonging. After that day, small conversations began to grow between them. Sometimes they met by chance in the cafe, sometimes they ended up sharing the same table in the library. Daniel's British accent and Emily's American style were different, but this difference itself made things interesting. Emily would often joke, "Your British tea obsession is crazy. Americans survive on coffee." Daniel would smile and reply, "Well, tea is not just a drink, it's a way of life in London." Emily laughed, and that laughter kept echoing in Daniel's heart. One rainy evening, both of them were sitting alone in the university garden. Raindrops were falling from the trees around them. Emily suddenly asked, "Daniel, do you believe in destiny?" Daniel thought for a moment and then gently said, "Yes, I do. I believe some people are meant to meet, no matter where they're from." Emily looked at him deeply, and that look seemed to sink straight into his heart. But life is never simple. The next day, Emily didn't come to class. Then one day, then 2 days passed. Daniel's restlessness grew. When she finally returned, there were dark circles under her eyes. She looked exhausted. Daniel asked with concern, "Emily, where have you been?" "I was worried." Emily lowered her head and said softly, "Daniel, my life is not as perfect as it seems. There are things you don't know, things that might push you away." Daniel silently looked into her eyes and replied, "Emily, whatever it is, I'm not going anywhere." For a moment, the air itself stood still at those words. It was an evening at the university. After the rain, the air carried the scent of damp earth. Daniel stood outside the library, waiting for Emily. Over the past few days, he had realized that Emily's life held a secret that was breaking her from within. Finally, Emily arrived, but her steps were heavy, and her face carried sadness. Daniel spoke softly, "Emily, can we talk?" Emily gave a faint smile, as if she already knew this conversation was bound to happen. The two of them walked to a nearby cafe. With a coffee mug in her hands, Emily stayed quiet for a few moments. Then she slowly began to speak. "Daniel, you think I'm happy, free, just like the other girls. But the truth is, my family struggles have always held me back." Daniel looked at her with concern and asked, "What kind of struggles?" Emily's eyes filled with tears. "My parents have had problems for years. My mother is sick, and I'm the one who takes care of her. My studies, my dreams, they often get buried under the weight of it all. That's why sometimes I disappear suddenly." Daniel gently held her hand and said, "Emily, you don't have to face all of this alone anymore." From that day, Daniel and Emily's bond grew stronger. They were no longer just classmates, they had become confidants, each other's strength. At night, when Emily stayed at the hospital with her sick mother, Daniel kept her company over the phone. "Don't worry, Emily. Everything will be fine. I'm here." Emily often said, "Daniel, I don't know what I'd do without you." Those words awakened a new feeling in Daniel's heart. This wasn't just friendship anymore. It was something more. One day, the university hosted a cultural fest. Students from different countries showcased their traditions. Daniel set up a British stall with traditional tea and snacks. Emily came over, holding a small American flag, and teased with a laugh. "So, this is the famous British tea?" Daniel smiled. "Yes, and today you're going to taste it the right way." Emily took a sip and playfully replied, "Still, I prefer American coffee." They both laughed. The moment was so beautiful that the crowd around them seemed to disappear, as if the world existed only for the two of them. That night, Daniel sat by his window and admitted to himself, "Emily is not just a friend anymore. She's something more. Maybe this is what love feels like." But fear crept into his heart as well. What if she doesn't feel the same? What if her struggles leave no space for me? These questions kept Daniel awake all night. A few days later, Emily's mother's health took a sharp turn for the worse. She was admitted to the hospital, and Emily's world felt like it was falling apart. Daniel tried to be by her side every single moment. In the hospital corridor, Emily cried out, "Daniel, I can't do this anymore. It's too much for me." Daniel's voice was firm yet gentle. "You're stronger than you think, Emily. And I'll be right here, no matter what." For the first time, Emily wrapped her arms around him. After that moment, no words were needed. Their hearts spoke for them. One night, outside the hospital, while soft rain fell, Daniel finally gathered the courage to say, "Emily, there's something I need to tell you. I think I'm falling in love with you." Emily's eyes filled with both surprise and tears. She stayed silent for a moment, then whispered, "Daniel, I don't know if I deserve this kind of love. My life is a mess." Daniel stepped closer and replied, "It doesn't matter how messy life is. Love isn't about perfection. It's about holding on through the storm." A trembling smile touched Emily's lips. That moment was destined to change both of their lives forever. After that night at the hospital, everything had changed. A new bond had formed between Daniel and Emily. But love doesn't always walk on straight paths. Sometimes hearts draw closer while circumstances push them apart. For the first time, Emily had opened the door of her heart to Daniel. But the next morning when she arrived at the university, there was a look of confusion on her face. Her friends asked, "Emily, you look different today. What happened?" Emily just smiled it away, but inside her thoughts were heavy. Is this right? Can I really let someone into my life when I'm already so broken? Daniel was happy, yet he sensed something had changed. Emily wasn't speaking the way she used to. She had grown more silent. One evening, Daniel saw her sitting alone in the university park, staring at the sky. He walked over and said, "Emily, is everything okay? You've been distant." Emily took a deep breath. "Daniel, I'm scared. What if this doesn't last? What if I lose you too? My life already feels like a storm. I don't want you to drown in it." Daniel spoke gently. "Love is not about guarantees, Emily. It's about choosing someone every single day, no matter the storm." Emily closed her eyes, as if her heart had found a moment of peace. A few days later, there was a seminar at the university. There Daniel met another classmate, Sophia. She was smart, outspoken, and often helped Daniel in group discussions. That same day, Emily saw Daniel laughing with Sophia. A strange sting rose in her chest. She knew it was just a casual conversation, but the heart's feelings are not always logical. That night, Emily didn't call Daniel. He sent her messages again and again, but no reply came. The next day, Emily kept her distance. When Daniel asked, she said, "Daniel, maybe we're moving too fast. Maybe this is not right." Daniel was stunned. "What are you talking about? Did I do something wrong?" Emily's voice turned cold. "I just think you deserve someone better. Someone who doesn't come with baggage." Her words hit Daniel like lightning. For the first time, he felt that maybe Emily really was pushing him away. After that day, Daniel also began pulling back. In class, he barely spoke. He buried himself in assignments, but inside, he was breaking apart. Sitting alone in his room, he whispered to himself, "Maybe she never felt the same. Maybe I was just a temporary comfort." On the other side, Emily was not at peace either. She couldn't find happiness for even a moment without Daniel, but fear consumed her. If she let Daniel into her heart and one day everything shattered, she knew she could never survive the pain. Standing in front of the mirror, she told herself, "Emily, you're pushing away the only person who truly cares for you. But is it fair to hold him when your own life is falling apart?" One evening, Daniel and Emily crossed paths unexpectedly in the library. Both stayed silent, but their eyes carried thousands of unspoken words. Daniel closed his book and said, "Emily, if you want me to stay, just say it once. If you want me to walk away, I'll never bother you again." Tears filled Emily's eyes. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. Daniel took a long breath and walked out of the library. Emily closed her eyes and whispered in her heart, "Daniel, I need you, but why can't I say it out loud?" Daniel's steps carried him out through the library door, but Emily's eyes remained fixed on that doorway. Her heartbeat raced. Why didn't I say anything? Why didn't I have the courage to stop him? She collapsed back into her seat. The book lay open before her, but the words had blurred. Her heart whispered to go after him, but fear kept her chained to the chair. Meanwhile, Daniel walked across the university lawn, lost in the cool night breeze. All he could see in his mind were Emily's eyes, filled with unspoken words though her lips had stayed silent. If she truly wanted me, she would have stopped me. His heart had already delivered its verdict. Enough. I have to hold myself together now. But the truth was, every moment without Emily felt empty. The next day in class, Emily saw Daniel. He was completely silent, speaking to no one. A forced smile sat on his face, as if everything were fine. But Emily knew inside he was breaking. When class ended, Emily tried to speak to him, but Daniel only nodded and turned away. That moment pierced her heart. I pushed him away, and now these distances keep growing. Around that time, Sophia began appearing closer to Daniel. During group assignments, she always sat beside him, and even during class breaks she would talk with him. Whenever Emily saw this, a fear stirred inside her. Did my silence make me lose him? Is he really moving towards Sophia? That night, Emily wrote in her diary, "Daniel, you are both my weakness and my strength. But I never managed to tell you that. If I wait any longer, I might lose you forever." She closed her eyes and made her decision. Tomorrow, no matter what, she would lay her heart bare before Daniel, whatever the outcome might be. The next morning, Emily found herself standing in front of the mirror. There was no sleep in her eyes, but courage shone through. I can't stay silent any longer. If I don't say something today, it might be too late forever. After class ended, Emily saw Daniel in the hallway. He was holding his books, just about to leave when Emily called out, "Daniel, wait, please." Daniel stopped, but only looked at her in silence. Emily's heart was racing. She took a deep breath and said, "Daniel, I need to talk. Just for a moment." They sat together on a bench in the university garden. A soft breeze moved through the trees, rustling the leaves around them. Emily lowered her gaze and said, "Daniel, I know I've hurt you. I pushed you away when you were the only one who truly cared for me. It wasn't because I felt nothing, it was because I felt too much." Daniel was startled, but he stayed quiet. Tears welled in Emily's eyes. "I was scared. Scared of losing you, scared that my broken life would destroy you too. But the truth is, every moment without you feels empty. And I don't want to run anymore." For the first time, Daniel gently held her hand. "Emily, I never needed you to be perfect. I just needed you to be real with me." There was a sincerity in his voice that gave Emily peace. Love isn't about avoiding storms. It's about holding on together. Emily's lips trembled, and finally, she smiled. "Then, Daniel, I choose you. Today, tomorrow, every day." Those words seemed to freeze time. Their eyes reflected the same feeling that words could never fully capture. Emily softly rested her head on Daniel's shoulder, and for the first time, both of them felt complete. After Emily and Daniel confessed their love, everything changed. They were closer than ever, but just as life is never a straight path, their relationship too had to face a tough test. Sophia, who had always stayed close to Daniel, began to act differently when she saw him with Emily. One day after class, she said to him, "Daniel, I thought we had something, but you chose Emily. Are you sure she won't break you?" Daniel replied gently but firmly, "Sophia, you're a good friend. But my heart, it already belongs to Emily." Emily overheard this. At that moment, her deepest fear shattered, the fear that someone else could take Daniel away from her. A few weeks later, a major challenge appeared in Emily's life. Her family was going through serious problems, and she had to leave New York temporarily. She told Daniel, "Daniel, I don't know how long I'll be gone. Maybe weeks, maybe months. But I don't want this distance to break us." Daniel held her hand and said, "Emily, no matter the miles, my heart is with you. We'll make it through." The distance was hard. Phone calls, video chats, and messages kept their love alive. Some nights Emily cried herself to sleep, and Daniel, back in London, battled his own loneliness. But every time they remembered each other, they found strength. True love isn't about being together every second. It's about believing, even when apart. Months later, when things finally settled, Emily returned. In the same university park where they had shared their first deep conversation, Daniel placed a small box in front of her. "Emily, life may be full of storms, but I don't want to face them without you. Will you be mine forever?" Tears streamed down Emily's face, but this time, they were tears of joy. "Yes, Daniel, forever." A soft breeze blew through the trees, the stars shimmered above, and Daniel and Emily held each other close. This wasn't just a story of love, it was a story of courage, trust, and truth. Because true love is the kind that survives distance, fear, and storms, and still remains.